friends.
To the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields.
We're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get the one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Fellas.
Well, hello.
Welcome back, Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
I'm so... And what a day to be back. Guys, it's our second anniversary.
That's right.
It is. We are 2.
2 years.
2 years, that's right.
Of uncling.
That's right.
And shepherding the flock through the valley of stupid that is religion.
The valley of the shadow of derp.
Yeah.
Into this blind alley we call life. So happy anniversary, guys. It's 2 years. Who thought it could be done? Certainly not me. But we did it. We did it anyway, and we've got a hell of a second anniversary put together. You guys have a couple things to talk about.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to start us off. I've got a double dose of dinosaur derp for everybody.
Yeah, and
yay!
And I, as promised, am taking us through another segment of the genius storytelling that is the Exodus story.
That's right. It's an Exodus for the rest of us. And then we're going to be joined by our friends from the amazing Camp Quest, which is a very cool thing.
Very cool.
And they're going to tell us all about it and tell us how maybe you can get involved, which I think is pretty cool.
And you should, you lazy bums. Get out there. Come on.
Yeah, let's get involved. Let's help out.
Do something good in the world.
For once. Turn this thing off.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of doing something good, should we just go do a show?
Let's do a show.
Let's do it.
Hey, Uncle Mark. Mm-hmm. I learned a thing this week. I talked about it a little bit.
Impossible.
I know. It doesn't seem likely, but it can happen occasionally. I talked about it a little bit on this week's Thank God I'm Atheist. And that thing that I learned is that, on the other, so there's the Dinosaur National Monument here in Utah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's right next to the Colorado border, and on the other side of that is a town called Dinosaur, Colorado.
Right.
And one of the big owners of land out there that is producing dinosaur fossils as we speak is Answers in Genesis.
Oh.
I just want you to know that the Allosaurus that we saw at the fucking Creation Museum, and I might be stepping all over something that Doug was wanting to talk about. So I'm going to shut my mouth and say, hey, Doug, talk to us about whatever you're going to talk to us about.
Uncle Dan is tap dancing all over my punchline. Oh. No, it's funny that you just found that out because I think we probably read the same article.
Okay.
And that's funny because, look, some listeners have asked if we're ever afraid of running out of subjects for our show. If we'll ever reach the point where there will be no more cults or Bible stories or woo to fuel our podcast. Well, let me put it to you guys this way. I was watching primetime TV the other night, and a commercial came on for the Flawless Contour, a vibrating rose quartz facial roller that channels the power of crystal to make those nagging wrinkles go away.
What the fuck were you watching?
Like regular TV.
Yeah?
It was just on. Yeah.
They still have that? Is that a thing?
I was
that
watching
still
Falcon Crest like I do every Saturday.
I was watching Murder, She Wrote.
So no, it turns out that we are an astonishingly stupid species, and we're going to be here to chronicle it all until the sun explodes.
Yeah.
So to that point, today we're going to look at two opposing sides in a debate that future generations will look back on and say, so that's why we didn't survive. Today we'll be talking about how two different groups of Christians are grappling with the existence of dinosaurs. So let me set the scene. Earlier this summer, I drove to a remote part of our large state outside of a very small town in central western Utah called Delta. You guys know Delta.
Beautiful Delta.
Delta, by the way, is the birthplace of which celebrity? Any guesses?
Chrissy Teigen.
Chrissy Teigen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
And amazingly, that's not on the town welcome sign.
No.
You'd think.
It should be. Anyway, I was trilobite hunting.
I don't think Delta has a welcome sign, Doug. I've been there.
It's not welcoming.
No,
Not so much.
Yeah. So the reason I was down there is I was trilobite hunting, and I had a pretty successful little jaunt. I found about a dozen specimens of varying quality, and at least as many impressions. One of them is here.
Yeah, you brought it to the studio here.
There is something very humbling and beautiful to cracking open a rock to reveal a stone memory of a little creature that lived and died 500 million years ago, and to ponder the knowledge allegedly, right? Yes. And to ponder the knowledge that we are very literally related. All this is to provide some context for the headfirst dive we're about to take into the shallow end of the dumb pool. So, first up, we'll be talking about an organization I found on YouTube because my algorithm has apparently become sentient and has taken a disliking to me. So, let's start off by talking about Christians Against Dinosaurs, a.k.a. CAD. So, like I said, I found this group on YouTube, and most of their videos, of which there are only a handful, are of one young woman named Kristen. And being named Kristen, she is, of course, white, who spends most of these videos in serious need of a scrunchie and taking the whole cutesy, oh, I went there shtick a little too far. So she expounds on what she calls the dinosaur lie by doing little experiments that you too can do at home.
I'm sure I can.
The dinosaur lie. Okay, great.
This doesn't sound like the work of someone who has gotten her doctorate degree in science.
These little experiments expose the conspiracy that is as vast as it is pointless. So I watched all of her videos, and uncles, this is some powerful stupid. But this powerful stupid has not built a taxpayer-funded ark in Kentucky or shipped kids off to reparative therapy. This is just a very ignorant girl saying very dumb things on YouTube. Perhaps, I thought, the target was a little too small ball for the full firepower that is the how-to heretics disdain. But then, in her video on aerodynamics, more on that in a minute, she said the following, quote, I wanted to specifically talk about the lies that these paleontologists have been feeding you your entire lives in exchange for...
What is aerodynamics?
Okay. Calm yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
Let him get to it.
We'll get there.
Okay.
She says, quote, I wanted to specifically talk about the lies that these paleontologists have been feeding you your entire lives in exchange for millions of dollars, a pat on the back by the liberally biased media, and a high five from all the feminists who want to kill babies and scream at their bodies or whatever the heck they scream at.
You know all those millionaire paleontologists out there?
Big paleontology.
Yeah. After that quote, I'm like, you know what? You're fair game. So
driving their McLarens down to the dig.
Her name is Kristen. I don't know her last name. I didn't want to know. So before we proceed, think about the 24-karat.
Look up the YouTube channel.
Yeah, go to YouTube and look up Christians Against Dinosaurs if you must.
I just want to see your face.
Before we proceed, think about the 24-karat bat shittery contained in that previous statement and the worldview it leaks from. Bat shittery, by the way, at least according to spell-check, an actual word.
Okay, great.
I'm on board. She believes that paleontologists are just in it for the sweet, sweet bling that universities are doling out, and that in order to justify their salaries, they have concocted a global hoax to invent the dinosaur fossil record. And on top of the mad stacks that these uber-capitalist paleontologists are pulling in, they get attaboys from the global media conspiracy, who's in on it, and high fives from the group of people least likely on Earth to high five feminists. Feminists who's only...
I'm not touching that. I'm going to let Doug
and
sit
Uncle
with
Mark.
that one.
I don't high five.
That's right.
I don't do it.
Feminists, by the way, whose only joy in life is having expensive, invasive, painful, and increasingly harder to get procedures done because they can't let the sun go down on a not murdered fetus. So
true.
Oh, and Kristen, if you're still wondering what feminists scream at their bodies, it's the lyrics to Alone by Heart. So
I love that song so much.
Okay. And I know that all our listeners that are filling out their conspiracy bingo cards right now have their pen hovering over the Jews square. Well, since Kristen managed to squeeze in the global media conspiracy, I'm going to say partial credit. So,
can I just say that I just typed into Google Christians Against, and the list that pops up, I'm just going to read it to you.
Sure.
Christians Against Tattoos. Against poverty, that's nice. Well, Christians Against Slipknot. Christians, I don't know if you're ready for this one. Christians Against Seedless Watermelons. Not sure where that one comes in, but I'm clicking it later. Christians against Christian nationalism. That's nice. We need more of them. And then Christians against dinosaurs.
Oh, well, at least they rank. All right. So firstly, let's dig into Christians Against Dinosaurs itself, and then we'll take a look at their work product. CAD is an organization with a logo. In this case, a stegosaurus inside the Ghostbusters no sign, a website, and even Facebook and Twitter accounts. Their website is mostly reposted articles from other anti-dinosaur groups and broken links. Their last post on Twitter, I love this, was a while back, August of 2018, and it reads, quote, "Sorry we have been AWOL for a while. A shift in administrative positions meant a temporary loss of password."
Aw.
I know, it's kind of sad.
That's hard.
Over on Facebook, they are much more active. Here they fight their war on dinosaurs with dank memes and tips, this is true, on what stores have dino-free toy aisles so they can shop there and not contribute to the conspiracy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. What? It's for real.
I love it.
They lobby for dinosaurs to be removed from school curriculums, but this lobbying is done only via social media. Yeah, it's a pretty meager population, and luckily they've had no success. So, incidentally, one of their main targets, the main targets for their ire is Ken Ham and Answers in Genesis.
Yeah. Because he's doing the opposite thing.
Exactly. And we'll see old Ham Chop here in a second.
And he is part of, if my guess is not way off the mark, what their website that I've just navigated to terms the Museum Industrial Complex.
Amazing.
Oh, my God. But for the raw, uncut twaddle you're craving, it's back on YouTube where they really shine. As I said at the beginning, their channel only has 17 videos on it. Some are reposts, some are just 30-second clips of someone burning toy dinosaurs. But 6 of them are our old pal Chrisen, derping pearls of wisdom about the dinosaur lie, blissfully unaware of the existence of second takes. So, in one video, she takes a bucket of broken plaster and dumps it out on a table to make the argument that with millions of dollars on the line, paleontologists will turn that debris into whatever they need to keep the gravy train running.
Oh, my God.
I know. In another, she lays out the reasons to reject the dinosaur lie, mainly that people should believe in the Bible, which according to her has been indisputed, her word, for thousands of years.
Undisputed.
Rather than believe in paleontology that's only been around for 10 or 15 years.
10 or 15.
Okay.
Okay.
So, even in the context of this kind of hammer-to-the-forehead stupid, one video stands out. She makes the argument that a pterosaur, the enormous flying dinosaur, could not possibly have existed with and flown with leathery wings because if you throw a leather jacket out the window, it does not fly away.
Wow.
To that airtight logic, I would simply say bats.
Yeah,
like
right.
I said, she really tries to come off as a coquettish rapscallion, but there's a real edge of hostility to her that's kind of unnerving. And like all apologists, there is an astounding arrogance to their ignorance. And of course, all of the problems that she claims to disprove about dinosaurs, the volume of food they had to eat, the aerodynamics of flying dinosaurs, the heftiness of the skeleton of the biggest dinosaurs, these all have explanations. Go to a museum.
Yeah.
Ask a paleontologist. They will walk you through it.
Yeah.
Just because you don't understand a thing doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
They'll walk you through
like,
their
for example, the
carefully
clitoris.
worded set of lies is what they'll walk you through.
The huge global international lie that is paleontology. What does she think dinosaur bones are?
It's a hoax. It's all a hoax. Okay.
It's all okay.
So, I mean, that's enough of this.
Yeah.
Right? And just to start where we began, a few months ago, I drove to a remote part of the Southwest, hiked up to a cliff face, pried free a large section of rock, and then chiseled that down to smaller sections until I found fossilized echoes of a quarter-size extinct bug. Dear uncles, that is one hell of a conspiracy.
No,
it's big.
What you did was very carefully chisel out until you had a nice little fresco of a trilobite.
So, part 2 of our Dinosaur Chronicles comes from an article a few days ago in The New Yorker by Charles Bethia. Originally, I was going to talk about CAD, but like I said at the beginning, our podcast suffers from an embarrassment of riches, and this other dinosaur hit my browser as though God himself was a fan. So, this article spins a strange yarn about dinosaur bones, as complex as it is stupid. The story's pretty serpentine, so I'll do my best to keep it simple. Let's start with North Carolina Congressman Mark Meadows. For those of you lucky enough not to know who this dim meat stick is, He is one of the collection of far right-wing conspiracy nuts and a member of the House Freedom Caucus, who you see clips of on Twitter all the time, still frothing about Benghazi and Hillary Clinton's kill list.
Yeah.
President Trump retweets him fairly often, and he apparently was almost chief of staff. So, pardon me.
So, a genius is what you're saying.
Super smart guy. Now, because this is a tale about evangelical Christians, strap in for a heavy dose of fraud, dishonesty, petty cruelty, and why not some statutory rape. 3 years ago, Meadows sold a piece of property in Colorado, Dinosaur, Colorado, to our old friends at Answers in Genesis, led by the aforementioned Ham Chop, for $200,000. Meadows, of course, did not disclose this sale on his congressional financial disclosure forms.
Of course.
It turns out that this is a bit of a pattern for Meadows because, and I did not see this coming, Christians are liars. So,
who could have predicted?
the story of this property goes back to 2002 and a fossil finding expedition by a group of young Earth creationists called the Dragon's Den Dig. This expedition was led by Doug Phillips, son of Howard Phillips, who founded the Constitution Party and was a leading figure in the religious right. Okay. Doug also worked as a lawyer for the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, or NAMBLA, and founded Vision Forum Ministries, which we'll talk about in a second. Phillips' partner was a guy called Peter DeRosa, a homeschool enthusiast himself. Okay. I know it's getting a little complicated, but the expedition was for homeschooling families and was billed as, quote, a fresh approach to ecology from the creationist perspective. Okay.
It's so funny because homeschooling I have nothing against, except that 99% of the time, especially in this country, homeschooling is code for, I pulled my kids out of school because they were teaching them shit wasn't Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So along for the ride on this expedition was one Mark Meadows and his young daughter Haley. Vision Forum Ministries made a documentary about this expedition with the inscrutable title, Raising the Allosaur, the true story of a rare dinosaur and the homeschoolers who found it. So the documentary shows how young Haley Meadows discovered the skull of an Allosaurus half buried in the forest among leaves and branches. Mark Meadows describes how they stumbled across the skull in the kind of detail that sounds suspiciously like you made it up. That's called foreshadowing. According to the documentary, the kids will go on to discover not only an Allosaurus skull, but 12 feet of its spine, a Stegosaurus, and a 120-foot-long sauropod, all in the span of 4 days. Surprise!
Paleontology! It works!
It turns out this was all bullshit. The bones were excavated on that property a couple years earlier by another group of young creationists, led by a guy named Joe Taylor. Phillips and DeRosa...
Sorry, you said young creationists, but what you meant was young Earth creationists.
Young Earth creationists, thank
Not
you. Yeah,
children,
yeah.
but
exactly.
grown folk.
Grown folk with puny brains.
They were old young Earth creationists. That's what I'm saying.
Phillips and DeRosa acquired the fossils and then staged them to not only look like those plucky kids found them, but also to make them look like they hadn't been there that long.
Right.
So instead of pulling them out of like a cliff face or a hillside, they were
instead of chiseling them out of the rock of the earth.
Right here in the forest, here's a dinosaur bone.
They're just lying around.
It sounds like the little thing you go to at the Natural History Museum where they just they put some sand over the bones in the sandbox, right? And the kids take them out. That's what they did.
So Joe Taylor, the first guy who found the bones, was unaware that the bones he had excavated had been staged and were now subject of a documentary that failed to mention him. So he sued. This is great. In 2004, Taylor and DeRosa entered into, and this is real, a Christian mediation process in which an independent adjudicator attempts to resolve their conflict using biblical principles.
Oh my God! So they cut the dinosaur in half, is what you're saying?
And the documentary.
Jesus. So unsurprisingly, this process left Taylor, the original finder of the bones, with nothing. Anyway, back to the story. Mark Meadows bought the Colorado property a few months after the bullshit expedition, apparently in an attempt to keep actual paleontologists from getting access to any further fossils found at the site, and probably to help, prevent them from exposing the lie.
Right.
Meadows eventually disallowed DeRosa from operating on the property because he had lied about his paleontology credentials. Doug Phillips, who, in case you've forgotten, was one of the organizers of the Dragon's Den Dig, resigned from Vision Forum Ministries in 2013 for having an affair with his nanny, whom he had been grooming from the time she was just 15. Although Phillips claims that he did not have sex with her until she was an adult, claiming while she was a minor, quote, we did not know each other in the biblical sense.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
we
so-
just made out a few times, and maybe I grabbed her boobs.
As all of the legal wrangling about the documentary and the proprietorship of the bones wound down, the Allosaur skeleton was eventually donated to the Creation Museum, where it occupies a place of honor in the lobby, which we have seen.
Yeah.
On the plaque below the skeleton, it reads, quote, "The intact skeleton of this Allosaur is a testimony to the catastrophic, rapid burial which is confirmation of the global flood a few thousand years ago as recorded in the Bible."
You know, it's funny because when I read that article, I actually was like, wait a minute. I know that they're saying that it's a flood, but this is pretty high. And I actually did a comparison between the elevation of Dinosaur, Colorado, and Mount Ararat. Is that where the Ark was meant to have landed?
Yeah.
And they're about the same. I don't know. It's just funny to me that all of this is stupid.
Stupid. And all of this brings us full circle to where we began. Meadows sold the property to Answers in Genesis, probably to put this whole sordid mess behind him. But like I said, he failed to disclose this sale as required by the Ethics in Government Act. Try and say that without laughing. So Meadows, it turns out, is a bit of a connoisseur of violating this act. Last year, Meadows was sanctioned for how he handled a sexual harassment claim in his office. It turns out he used taxpayer money to pay off the harasser.
Of course. What?
Yeah.
To pay him off for what?
So he had to kind of like fire him, but then he didn't want to just put him on the street.
Sure.
So he gave him like a nice nest egg, a nice golden parachute.
That's lovely.
Think about the level of derp it would take to be sanctioned for inappropriate action by this fucking Congress. So,
Right.
I must say, when every single character in a particular saga turns out to be dishonest, morally repugnant, vindictive, and clearly incredibly stupid,
And a little rapey.
and a little rapey, it does call into question the validity of the cause that they are lying, cheating, and stealing to prop up.
Well,
I don't think you can draw a connection between those things, Doug. I don't think that's
all I can say is you got your choice. You can either decide that dinosaurs are a global conspiracy and they never existed and they're all just fake.
Yeah.
Or they were buried by the flood and that confirms that God is true. Either way, Christians are right and paleontologists are fucking liars.
Well, and these two groups, by the way, hate each other. So here's hoping that, there's another extinction event coming up soon.
Well, thanks, Uncle Doug. I feel dumber just having heard all of that.
You're welcome.
Let's move along.
Uncle Mark.
Yeah, right here.
Well, it's nice to have you back on the show after last week. Your absence was definitely the brightest part of my week.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But back, a week ago, we dug into a story as stupid as it is dumb. But we couldn't get it all done in one episode. Uncle Dan started taking us through the book of Exodus.
Yes.
And he's back.
Yep.
It's Exodus 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's this is the time for some great exodusing.
Exodus 2, still exodusing.
And we're actually going to Exodus now. We're not going to make it through the entirety. I now see why Cecil B. DeMille had to take almost 4 hours. There's a lot of story to this story. He skipped way a lot of stupid. Just so much stupid. I'm not going to skip the stupid.
I just want to get to Yul Brynner in that glistening chest of his.
Well,
You guys want to know a fun Mormon fact?
sure.
Who won an Academy Award for design on the Ten Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille's Ten Commandments?
I don't know.
Arnold Freeberg. The painter of our
interesting.
Mormon youth. He was participated in designing that movie. There you go. Little Mormon fact.
The man who caused the first gay erections for so many young Mormon boys.
So many. Oh my God. Yeah.
Painting all of these Mormon heroes as
Extremely homoerotic.
Yes.
in these amazing bodies with huge rippling muscles. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google him, listeners. His, especially the lady listeners.
Yeah.
His subject matter is beefy.
Yeah, it's true. All right, well, let's get to the beef of this. When we last left our Israelite heroes, slow of speech Moses and his smooth-talking brother Aaron, they and their personality disordered deity had just inflicted 9 plagues on the people of Egypt because the Pharaoh wouldn't let the Israelite slaves go. Never mind the fact that the reason he wouldn't let them go was that this Israelite god had purposefully hardened his heart, specifically so that he wouldn't let them go. I mean, that's just good fun, right?
And I just, as a reminder, you read that part where Moses was on his way, and out of fucking nowhere, it's like, and then God went to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah?
Don't worry.
Yeah, sorry.
This is the same God. We're going to have more of that action. God is not nice to anybody. He is a lunatic. Anyway, quick recap. The plagues so far have been all of the water in Egypt having been turned to blood, then frogs, gnats, flies, then all the Egyptian-owned livestock dying, but don't worry because somehow they have livestock again.
Well, also they don't have water, right? So
just a few verses later.
The Nile is just a giant clot.
Yeah, well, except that all of that they don't talk about how, but all of it gets just fixed. So
no water, no food. Good.
Then all the Egyptians get festering boils, then a mega hailstorm that killed all the crops, in case you were thinking they could just be vegetarians.
Right.
Then locusts. Well, now it's time for the big show. The grand finale. Bring out the white tigers and throw a tarp over the Statue of Liberty, because this one is the one God's been saving. But don't get too excited just yet, because this one requires some prep. You may recall from last week that early on in the story, God told Moses that he'd make all the Egyptians feel warm and fuzzy about the Israelites, and they'd just hand over their gold to them. Well, now's the time. God tells them, all the Israelites, to go to their neighbors and ask for their gold. So, knock, knock. Hey there, wealthy captor. Could I, have all of your extremely rare and valuable possessions?
Can I have a cup of jewelry?
I'm really sorry about the boils.
Yeah, exactly. To which, of course, they replied, "Oh, sure, slave with no value to me beyond free labor, who I was literally whipping yesterday. Take my silver, too. It's all incredibly heavy. Hope you're not planning to take it on an insanely long journey. Ha, ha, ha." The King James Version actually says that they borrow the gold. Borrow with no intention of returning it.
Yes.
What's that called again? Anyway, so why would they do this? What possible need could a bunch of slaves have for shiny metals out in the wilderness for 40 fucking years? Could this possibly be backfilling for a part of the story later on that somebody realized didn't make any sense, so they went back and added this? Everyone just say for a minute. Anyway.
Things that make you say
Anyway, Moses says to Pharaoh, "Hey, this is what the Lord says. About midnight," this is a quote, by the way, "about midnight," because the Lord doesn't like to be too tied down to specific times, "I will go through Egypt. Every firstborn son of Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn son of the female slave who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or will ever be again. But among the Israelites, not a dog will bark at any person or animal.
Okay.
Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel."
You know how John Oliver, every time Trump does something ridiculous, John Oliver's like, "We got him.
Right.
We got him, right?"
Yeah.
Like, is this not enough?
Right?
Is this murderous insanity not like, okay, are we done?
Are we done? Can we let go of this God as being anything other than a psychopath?
Wow. And also, how can you kill the firstborn cow of all the dead cows?
Oh, no, the cows are back. I don't know how. We discussed this last week. You weren't there.
Okay.
But the cows magically reappear.
You should listen to the show, Mark.
You should listen
never,
to this show.
Never.
It's a pretty good show.
I hate it. I would never listen to it.
Yeah, literally 2 plagues later,
they're back.
They were like, "Hey, bring in all of your livestock from the fields because there's going to be hail." And it's just like, wait, What livestock?
You mean just like haul the carcasses under something, or what? What are you talking about?
Anyway, that was at like 8:30 a.m. or something. This threat to Pharaoh, because before that happened, there was a shit ton of stuff that the Israelites had to do. True to biblical form, there are now pages after pages of ritual bullshit for Moses' people to go through. Bake bread with no yeast. Get a lamb for each household, with a helpful math equation for how to figure out if you can share a lamb with their next door neighbors if they're poor and they don't have a lamb. It's a weight to number ratio thing. Anyway, it's how you say thorough. There are extensive instructions about how you are and are not allowed to cook that lamb. Definitely don't boil it. And how to eat it, and blah,
Okay.
blah, blah. It is mind-numbing.
Does anybody have to be told not to boil lamb?
Yes.
I mean, is that a temptation?
They have to be told.
Okay.
Because let me tell you something. Casting a magic death spell is apparently super specific. But the most important thing is that you spread the blood of the lamb over your doorframe, because even though God could tell which livestock was Egyptian and which was Israelite just a few plagues ago, he apparently has more trouble differentiating which humans are which. And, hate to slaughter the wrong fucking children, right?
Yeah. That's bad manners.
It really is. So, this trick actually works. Finally, Pharaoh says, take your people and your livestock and get the fuck out of Egypt. The rest of the Egyptians are also very eager for them to go. Like, can we help you pack? Here, let me load that cart for you. Want more gold? Here, take some clothes as well. Please just get the fuck out. So, the Israelites grabbed their dough. That's right. Time is spent talking about them grabbing their unleavened bread dough. And they left. Apparently about 600,000 men, plus all the women and children. So easily over 1 million people. And also, quote, large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds. All embark on this journey into the wilderness with their dough. And then the Lord gave a bunch of rules for how the Passover meal was to be eaten, including the fact that no man whose penis wasn't mutilated could eat it, and also rules about when, brace yourselves, their slaves could participate. Meaning the slaves of the Israelites. So, what the actual fuck?
This book is so shitty that even the slaves have slaves.
It seems that they needed to make it super duper clear that this story was in no way to be interpreted as an anti-slavery parable.
Right.
This is not about making no slaves. This is about making these people, God's favorite people, not be slaves anymore.
Yeah.
I think if you find yourself being the slave of a slave, you got to take an inventory. You know what I mean? You just got to figure, how did I get here?
Ask
How did this
yourself
happen to me?
some real probing questions at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there are about what feels like 150 more pages about commemorating this whole thing by eating the unleavened bread, remember the dough, and consecrating your firstborn son. And did I mention bread? And no yeast. You got that part right for the bread?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's all fun and good. And then the Lord, clever Lord that he was, didn't want this newly freed horde to get into any fights along the way, so he told them not to take the freeway. That'll lead them right through Philistine territory. So they got to turn right and then take the country road through the desert. It's kind of like playing a video game, because God assumed the form of a pillar of cloud that they could follow during the day,
right,
and a pillar of fire that they could follow during the night. Apparently they didn't need sleep. So they always knew which way they were supposed to go. That's real nice.
Yeah.
But wait, none of that sounds like the psychotic narcissist of a God we've all come to know and be utterly terrified by. He hasn't shit on his own people for like entire paragraphs. Well, let me just hit you with the first 4 verses of Exodus chapter 14. Ahem. Then the Lord said to Moses, quote, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-Hahiroth between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea directly opposite Baal-Zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." So the Israelites did this.
Jesus.
That's right. He turned them around.
And got Pharaoh pissed off again.
And pissed Pharaoh off again. Right. So Pharaoh, his heart once again hardened against his will, got all Pharaoh-y, and decided to go get his slaves back.
By the way, this is the scene in the Ten Commandments. It's my favorite scene.
Oh, yeah?
Where Yul Brynner just, like, extends his 2 arms out, and they all just, like, put that armor on him, that fantastic gold armor. I want to be dressed like that every day.
Okay. Well, we'll arrange it. It's fine.
A Patreon goal.
Patreon goal. Here we go.
Yeah.
So anyway, he took 600 of his best chariots, as well as all the other chariots in Egypt. So why the fuck mention the first 600 then? Just say all. He took all the chariots. God damn it. And he took all his horsemen and all his troops. And since God had basically been forcing the Israelites to walk in a circle like idiots, it didn't take Pharaoh long to catch up with them. And the Israelites were like, "Well, fuck, Moses. We fucking told you to leave us alone and just let us slave away in peace. But you had to go meddling, didn't you? Now,
where's your God now, eh?"
Right. By the way, the character of Dathan in the movie is interesting because he basically is the summation of all of this grumbling. He's not a real person in the Bible. They just decided
a stand-in for like all of the Israelites.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so anyway, they said, now, instead of being slaves in Egypt, we're going to be dead in the middle of the desert. So that's even worse. You did it worse. You made things worse again.
Yeah.
And Moses was like, "Don't worry, guys. God's going to fight this whole battle for you. You don't have to do a damned thing. Just stand still and shut up." And God sent his cloud pillar that was leading them to the back of the group, and it sat between the Egyptians and the Israelites, and all night caused one side to be dark and one side to be light. So I guess that was enough to keep the Egyptians from attacking for some reason.
Well, you know, a pillar-based navigation system is really, a lost art.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
it's only as reliable as the psychopath operating it, right?
Right, exactly. Who is apparently doing a spiral.
Yeah.
Anyway, God told Moses to raise his stick. We all know this part, and stretch his hand out over the water on the Red Sea, and the waters would part, and then his people could walk across on dry land. Now, we are not talking, as I think we did mention this a long time ago on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're not talking about the thick of the Red Sea. We're not talking about the really wide part of the Red Sea. We're talking about one of these little horns that sort of pokes up from the top of it. So it's still a bit of a walk, but not quite as impressive. Anyway, they're trying to. What I'm saying is they're trying to make it sound more impressive than it actually is. But still impressive. The sea parts. God's and then all of the Israelites get to walk through, and then God said, "Okay." Before they actually walk through, God is telling Moses how to do this, and he said that he would once again harden the hearts of the Egyptians so they would pursue them. To which Moses once again didn't say, why don't you soften their hearts so they'll just leave us the fuck alone?
You're not helping.
Anyway, the waters part, the Israelites go through on dry ground with a wall of water on the left and a wall of water on the right. And then the Egyptians followed, and the water crashed down on them, and they all died. Which that is absolutely what you want to have happen, I guess. It's cute.
And again,
eventually. I mean, God, he could have done something like that sooner, but he decided this whole little run around in a circle dog and pony show was important before he actually just fucking killed all the Egyptians, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The pillar of fire could have killed them.
Yeah.
Anything could have killed them. They could have all lived and just
Any
lived
of several million plagues.
Sure.
Right. And just the show so far, Egypt has suffered the worst catastrophe in its history.
Yeah.
All of the firstborn have died. The crops are gone. The livestock is gone. The army is gone. Mm-hmm. None of this was written down.
Yes. To reiterate at that point from last week, none of this is recorded by the Egyptians. Not only what you just said, Doug.
Yeah.
But the loss of a million enslaved workers.
Yeah.
The magical slaughter of everything. The absolute destruction of Egypt's entire armed forces at one moment. They just forgot to write that down.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, chapter 14 of Exodus ends with this. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and in Moses and his servant. Which totally sounds like and they all lived happily ever after. And to underscore that, chapter 15 is comprised almost entirely of a longish song of rejoicing that they have all apparently spontaneously burst into, singing together, like the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So,
What song did they sing? I really hope it was Here Comes the Hot Stepper. That would be awesome.
don't know what that is.
All the Jews down in Jewville.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is 100% that, which is why I'm going to leave it there for now. But I think I'm coming back for part 3.
Part 3.
Wow.
It's a trilogy.
I think we're going to do some more. So
That's a first. It's a first on our little
That's
program.
right. And like the Matrix, it just keeps getting better and better.
All right. So let's with that happy ending destined to be completely shit on, we'll move along.
Let's move on.
Fellas, here's what I want you all to know. We've been doing this show for 2 years. We've been pouring our hearts out. We've been
Every week, without fail.
talking our lungs out.
Yeah.
And Mark, I think you looked it up. What is the 2-year anniversary gift that?
According to hallmark.ru, the second anniversary gift is it's money.
Oh.
Money.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what? I guess what the ask would be then is those of you who have appreciated our show either for a full 2 years or who have just started to, you can go to our website. What the hell show is this? howtoheretic.com. You can go to our website and you can find the link that says you support us, and go to our Patreon and become a supporter with that appropriate gift of money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the money that fuels our trips to the Dinosaur Museum and to Manti and all the cool things we do.
And it just keeps the show clicking along. So if you want to be part of that, if you would think, hey, an anniversary is a great time for me to start being a patron of the show, we won't disagree with you on that point. And you can go to howtoheretic.com to do that.
And when you're done putting all of Mommy's money into that little box, you can go to wherever you can give us 5 stars. Please keep doing that. It's literally helps other people find their way to the show, and hopefully brings a little smile into their religion darkened life. So do that for them if you're not going to do it for us, and we love you anyway.
All right, moving along.
Guys.
Well, hello.
Yeah. What? What do you want?
Let's have a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical thought experiment here.
Okay.
Let's say you got a kid, right? And I don't know, what your life choices were that led you to that happening, but whatever. It's your problem.
Did I steal this kid?
Yeah, do his parents know?
Yeah, the backstory is unimportant to everybody but the police. Okay. So you've got a kid and you want them to learn to hate America, to love Satan,
Okay.
and to get an abortion before their 10th birthday. Where do you send them?
This all sounds plausible and accurate. My own feelings.
Well, I have an answer to this little conundrum, and it's going to be provided by a couple friends joining us today. They are Kim Newton, who's the executive director of Camp Quest, and Neil Polzin, who is the board chair and the camp director of Camp Quest West. Welcome, guys.
Hey there.
Hello. Well, with that interview or introduction, I thought it was going to be a friendly interview.
I know. I'm sitting here thinking, what are they going to expect us to talk about?
Those are good things, right? That's what atheists and skeptics are, right?
Yeah, right.
America-hating Satan lovers. Everybody knows this.
Or maybe Kim and Neil, you guys can set us straight on that and talk about what Camp Quest actually is all about, and save the children from the fate that Mark seems to want them all to go through.
Well, if you haven't heard of Camp Quest, then you've tuned into the right podcast on the right day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we think we've got something really special going on, which is a camp that encourages kids to think for themselves.
Uh-oh.
It's that easy. Right?
That sounds dangerous and possibly subversive. I think we're back in Mark's territory again.
Probably both.
Told you.
But so we are a summer camp that focuses on science, critical thinking, and humanist values. And we've got a network of camps that span 13 states. And yeah, we're just really excited about summer camp and providing a great opportunity for kids to come together and to use their brains,
Well,
that's amazing. Tell us a little more about the camp experience. How does it? How would that look? To a young camper.
As growing up as a Mormon boy, strangely, my camp experience was either Boy Scout camp, which was in Utah, and that meant that all of the Boy Scouts were Mormons.
Yeah.
Or I also strangely I participated in day camp at the Jewish Community Center.
Right.
So
okay,
all of my camp experience had a lot of prayer, some of which was in Hebrew. But the thought of a camp experience that's actually just focused on learning cool shit sounds amazing.
Yeah,
well, so I can relate to some of that. Growing up out west, I was also in the Boy Scouts. I did Eagle Scout. I worked at Camp Cherry Valley out here, which, even though it was on the West Coast, was still run by Mormons. And we had quite a few LDS out here running different camps. And with the program so attached to the church and having such a presence out in Los Angeles, they were still quite connected. Mm-hmm. But that all ended.
I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote them a letter saying I'm an atheist. What are you going to do about it? They replied, well, you don't work at camp anymore. So hopped over to Camp Quest. But to answer that question, first and foremost, like those scout experiences, we do a lot of camp stuff, right? We do archery, we do canoes, we do rock climbing. There's arts and crafts. But we talk about our free thought heroes. We talk about critical thinking, and we look at those kind of skills instead of the merit badges you'd be used to in scouts. But the kids get to come to camp and actually have a camp experience, an American summer camp experience that you would expect.
Is 50 too old to come to camp?
No, definitely not. We want
that sounds like a ball.
We want you at camp. Please come.
You probably don't, but thank you.
No, we definitely are fueled by volunteer love. So our volunteers are really the heart of Camp Quest. I mean, of course, we do it for the campers, but the volunteers really keep it going. We have over 450 every year that dedicate a week or more out of their summer to make camp happen.
No kidding. 450 volunteers around the country.
Yes, every year.
Amazing.
Absolutely. And as Kim said, we run over 20 sessions in 13 states. So we're at 19 sessions, I think, this last year in 13 states. So we're looking at Utah. I know we chatted with you guys about that and had some conversations. We have some volunteers looking to get one going out there relatively soon and get that process going. But
Yeah,
right now we have them located coast to coast.
Yeah, any of your listeners in Utah, if you're interested, we've already got a core group of folks in the state, mostly around the Salt Lake area, who are interested in bringing a camp there. So email me, camp@campquest.org, and I will put you in touch with folks, and we'll try and get camp out there.
Let me tell you something.
We'd love to see that.
Utahns will get that happening because we got nothing but great places to camp. Out
truly.
here in Utah. Unfortunately, a lot of it is a lot of the good spots are taken by the Mormons and everybody. But there's so much. It's going to be beautiful once it's put together.
Well, and in Utah, it's a separate discussion that the Mormons are now ending their relationship with the BSA because of the queers like me. But it for non-Mormon kids in Utah, it has been quite exclusionary. It's been tough for young people that want to go to. It's always been hard for girls because they can't be in the Boy Scouts, but for non-Mormon boys who just could never be included in that process without all the proselytization and kind of hyper-nationalism that Mormon Boy Scouts bring to the table. So I think Utah is very, very ripe and hopefully very interested for that experience.
And Camp Quest, from the beginning, we've been welcoming kids with open arms. I mean, we're just all about being welcome and inclusive. And the way that has shaped us over the 23-year history of Camp Quest now looks like, what that looks like in our programming is very intentional outreach and inclusion of LGBTQ youth. Mm-hmm. And about 8 of our camp locations now offer gender inclusive cabins. So nice. LGBTQ inclusion is a very important part of what we are all about.
That's amazing.
Both for campers and for staff.
That's really amazing. And I think Uncles Mark and Dan, you'll agree, there probably was not more of a homophobic place in history than Mormon Boy Scouts.
There is. You say that, but I can't tell you how many of my gay friends had their first homosexual experience.
It's true
at Scout Camp. So can't be
but
that.
But you know what? Not me. What the fuck, man? We tied knots. We got merit badges.
You were too focused on your boondoggle.
I was all about my boondoggle. But let's not talk about my boondoggle. We'll just have to edit all that out. But
wasn't that was the last episode, right?
Right.
So, Kim, one of the things I want to ask about, because suddenly you've talked about inclusiveness, I'm curious. Could kids invite their believing friends to come with them to Camp Quest?
Absolutely. And certainly plenty of kids who come to Camp Quest, they might come from an interfaith family. Right. One parent believes and another parent doesn't.
You're not going to be proselytizing atheism to them?
Well, let's say we exist to help kids learn how to think, not what to think. Right. So when we talk about atheism or humanism or religion, it's all about offering information so that the kids can help make up their own minds and beliefs.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah.
So what for not just for Utah, but for other states, what is the requirement? What do you guys need to make one of these happen, to make a Camp Quest happen in a new place? Is that do you need to kind of piggyback on an existing facility?
We do. So all of our camp programs run for 1 week. So it's usually looks like a Sunday to Saturday program. Right. A couple of the camps now have expanded to more than 1 week, but they're not necessarily consecutive. Mm-hmm. And we are program based. So we rent facilities from other camp locations.
Right.
Okay.
So, of course, we would love one day to own our own camp, but this is how we've operated and how we continue to operate. So we look for, a group of freethinkers, volunteers who want to step up and offer a camp in their community, get in touch with us, and we will work with you through the process of forming a camp, finding a facility, and making a plan for that launch. And that process can take the better part of a year.
Sure.
So yeah, that's how we make it happen. It's just one conversation at a time. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I mean, we're in October now, so obviously camps are not going to be happening for a minute, but that means that, is it possible that there could be a new camp ready to go by summer if they started now?
It's possible. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it does definitely take a lot of planning. So like, to give you an example, like our current camps, a lot of them, they're having planning sessions this month, for the coming summer.
Right.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, what it really takes is a couple of people who are going to step up and say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make Camp Quest happen here.
I love it.
And so, yeah. So if that's you, if you're listening, then we want to hear from you.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm putting out the call. Here's what I'm going to say. If somebody can be driven enough to get a Utah Camp Quest going next summer, I'll be one of your volunteers.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So that's Uncle Dan putting out the word that somebody should just get somebody who is way more driven than me.
That does mean that the camp has to be more than 500 yards away from a playground.
It's true. No schools.
All background checks and other staff requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's assuming that I pass any of the background checks. That's a good point. Neil, talk to me about the experience that a volunteer has out there at your camp. I know that you're a director, so talk to me about someone who comes in to volunteer. What's their experience like?
Sure. So I'm lucky enough to, besides being the board chair for the national organization, I also happen to be the camp director for Camp Quest West the last couple of years out in California. So we usually have a good idea of our staff by the beginning of the year, come January or so. So our previous staff we've invited back to reapply. We're out there always looking for new staff. So anyone really coast to coast at this point, if you're interested in staffing your local Camp Quest, whether that be Texas, Washington, out here in California, we have our Ohio or anywhere else, take a look at campquest.org and you can email Kim. But we're always looking for those volunteers. A lot of times registration for the kids open up come January, perhaps maybe February. So those teams are building their curriculum at this point. They've already signed contracts with this camp for this next year. They start doing camp training. Even though for most of volunteers, it's only a week per summer, they really do have to have all those qualifications, all those background checks, all of that training to work with kids. So we start that early in the year.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. And do you guys have sorry, Dan, do you have a standard curriculum that or program that all the camps kind of work off of?
Well, we don't. We actually have kind of an open program model where it really builds on the skill sets of the volunteers who are running the camp, and also considers what activities and things are available at the campsite. So each Camp Quest is unique, and what you'll experience at one camp, in Ohio is going to be different from camp in the Smoky Mountains. But all of them are built around the same values of inclusivity and critical thinking, appreciation for nature, and of course our free thought heritage. And that's the way our founders, Edwin and Helen Kagan, started the camp. And that's how we've continued today. Now we do have, activities that are shared between the camps. So, sort of core, what we call core activities like Socrates Cafe, where the kids will have a, open philosophical discussion circle around the campfire. Or critical thinking challenge skits where they're going to use the camp theme for the week to do skits with their cabin at the end of the week. Instead of a moment of prayer, we have a moment of science.
Nice.
So that is, so those are things that you're going to find throughout all of the camps.
Do they serve I think therefore a ham sandwich in the cafeteria?
You do now.
You can
That's
have that.
a pretty good one.
Oh my God. Doug will volunteer his punning services to absolutely no one because they won't want them.
We won't allow it.
Yeah. So that's what the programming looks like. But the volunteers spend a ton of time developing and creating activities so that it's a new, fresh experience every summer for the kids who come back.
Now, I did catch that you said that it depends on the skills of the volunteers, and so you may want to turn me down as a volunteer. I've suddenly realized if skills are involved, I'm probably not qualified. But
come on, Dan, cocktails, that's a real thing.
I will train them up. They will be able to go home and make a killer G&T for their parents later.
I'm sure some of the parents would appreciate that. When we say we're looking for skilled volunteers, what we're saying is come as you are, as long as you have a love for kids and a love for having fun, then, you're going to make a great Camp Quest volunteer. And of course we provide training, and the camps will also provide additional training if, camp is a new experience for you. And we certainly get a lot of younger volunteers, who are in college. And we also have volunteers who are in their 60s and 70s. So it's really, for our volunteers, a lifelong, for many of them, a decades-long commitment to doing Camp Quest. But yeah, if you're interested, then we want to have you.
I love it.
And I do want to stress, really, there's so many different roles that people can volunteer with Camp Quest, even if people can't make it out for a week during the summer. As we mentioned, a lot of these camps actually need help developing that program if that's where your skills are. If you know accounting, you'd be surprised how many nonprofit organizations are always looking for a treasurer. So that goes for camp or anyone else out there. Always try and find better ways to get involved. We'd love to have you at Camp Quest. If you can spend that week, or even if you can't, you have some other skills you can contribute during the off season. There's always different ways to try and give back.
Right,
or
exactly.
writing a check is okay too.
Yeah.
How many kids do you guys put through in a summer?
Right now it's about 1,000, just over 1,000.
Nice.
Yeah. And so we're, in our whole history, we're like very close to having had 10,000 campers.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah. All in all.
And we're actually always looking at ways to bring that programming and bring those skills to more kids. So right now in the groups, we're having different conversations about ways to develop some programming and bring that to different models going forward too. So we're looking for new ways to expand and new ways to reach more kids out there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of interest from folks who are interested in day camp programming, like similar to Scouts. And, we've had these conversations internally for a while. And so we're exploring what those options look like. Our camp in Minnesota has run a day camp for the last 2 summers. So we're exploring how to help Camp Quest be in more places. So if that interests you or you're interested in supporting that in our outreach, please contact us, visit campquest.org. You can donate, you can sign up to volunteer, you can check out all the information for the upcoming camps too here after the new year.
Well, that's amazing, you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us, and thanks for everything that you're doing for all those poor bastard kids that don't know anything about Jesus. You're doing the Lord's work, and we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, and keep us posted about Utah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All
guys.
All right.
Bye.
Well, friends, that is it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or, like Uncle Dan, if you can't get within 500 feet of a playground, tell us about it on our voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986. I'm also on Twitter at HowToHeretic.
And mighty thanks to our once and future patrons.
And so many thanks to the wonderful Cody Layton for editing our show.
And thank all of you for tuning in.
Bye, friends.
Au revoir!